Hello there, welcome to video number 2 in my piano crash course over 10 lessons. The previous video focused on your personality, your musical personality. I hope you've given some thought to that. I also hope that you've overcome these negative myths that surround starting the piano as an adult, the worrying about your hands not being big enough, the fact that it will take many hours, the fact you're not starting as a 5-year-old, all these silly things that you don't need to worry about. Maybe you lack confidence, you haven't got enough time, it's going to take a long time to learn. All these things, absolutely forget about those, as I said in the previous video. So today you're going to be learning the names of the notes. You're going to be learning intervals, and I'm going to give you the major triad shape without the detail and without the theory behind it. Sometimes the theory will come later and it will make sense at a later date. I've given much time and thought to making this course logical, so do trust that everything is to your benefit. Notes. Middle C. Depends what you're playing. If you've got a normal piano, then it's middle C because it's in the middle of the piano, surprisingly. Sometimes you may have a smaller keyboard and middle C is not necessarily exactly in the middle, but middle C is the one that doesn't sound too low and doesn't sound too high. Middle C is where you sit. Now, how do you know where middle C is? Well, that's what I'm going to talk about now in this first. As you remembered, hopefully from lesson 1, every video will contain 3 focus points. The first one of this one is notes. The second one is intervals, and the third one is triads. So notes. We have to begin on middle C. The musical alphabet begins on a C for some reason. Don't know why. Don't ask questions that you don't need to know the answer to. As I said in the previous video, Google is your friend. C. It begins on C. Now let's just get our bearings. There are 2 black notes and 3 black notes all the way up the piano, and they repeat. Now the reason is that within those, if you count them, within those 12 notes, all these notes are repeated again. And the only way to get, the best way to get your bearings is to start on middle C and focus yourself, orientate yourself from middle C. Even I do this after many years of playing and many different styles and all these different things. Even I use middle C as a reference point, so it's recommended to use middle C as a reference point. Middle C is the note which is to the left of the 2 black notes every time, because you can see there are 2 blacks and 3 blacks, 2 blacks and 3 blacks, and middle C is the C of all the C's, which is in the middle, surprisingly, and this is where all of your learning will take place, from this point here. In terms of where you're sitting, and there's been a few discussions online about this, some teachers prefer their students to sit with their belly button on the C, others like it on one of these black notes. Personally, I have this note here into my belly button, so I'm sitting directly, well, I'm slightly dislodged by the camera stand, but when I'm playing the piano, the first thing I will do before I do anything with my hands is put this note, which is between the 2 black notes in the middle of the piano, called a D, C, D, musical alphabet starts on C, remember, it will go straight into my belly button. That gives me a perfect orientation, and it's really true, even for me. If I'm sitting just 1 or 2 inches to the left or to the right, I play with mistakes because my arms are not used to going this far and not this far if I'm not in the correct position. You get used to it very quickly about where your hands should be on the piano. So get used to sitting in that position, roughly between the 2 black notes. Don't sit up with this in the middle, and don't sit somewhere down here. That is completely ridiculous. Don't do that. Put that into your belly button, so to speak. So the notes themselves are C. Just remember these things and internalise them on your internal piano. I'm going to just say these things casually and you'll pick it up. See the same thing on your internal piano, which means in your mind, in your being, you will simply see the shape 2 blacks, 3 blacks. The fact that there are other notes doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything at all. The piano, or the organ, same thing, same notes, is literally these notes here. I haven't got enough things to block out, but all these notes here, from here and from well, here, basically, all these notes don't exist. So just picture that shape in your mind: the 2 black notes and the 3 black notes, and you've got 1 note before and 1 note at the end. That is how you need to orientate yourself on the piano. Internalise it. Close your eyes. When you're laying in bed, think about that. And that is your internal piano template, let's say. So, only see that. All the other notes, everything else, is just the same thing, duplicated. So, this C, going up to here, on the other side of the 3 black notes, is just duplicated. It's duplicated here, with all the notes, 2 black notes, 3 black notes. This is where we are, and then it's duplicated again here, 2 black notes, 3 black notes, and the white note after, just up here, after the last black note. It's all duplicated. Okay. Now, let's give you the names of the notes. It's not the most important thing, but you do need to know the names of the notes. So this will be a very, very quick lesson. You're starting on C, and you go up the alphabet, but you stop at G, and then it becomes A, and you'll see why. C, D, E, all the white notes are being played for a reason which will be disclosed in another video. C, D, E, F, G, and then we go A, B, because we come back to C again. A, B. I wish it was just A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, but it isn't, so it's not. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, and then you say C again, because we've come back to the white note, which is before the 2 black notes. Okay, that's the idea. Now you're going to get your first physical practice to take away. What you have to do, and you must do exactly what I tell you to do, is this. You put your thumb on that C. You will play the first 3 notes with the first 3 fingers, 1, 2, 3, and get used to that. You practice in combinations. That's a very good sentence I have just said, if I may say so myself. Practice in combinations, which means don't just practice what I'm going to tell you, which will be 1, 2, 3, and then I'm going to have you moving your thumb to the next note and going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, which takes you to the end of this block of 12 notes, as I showed you a moment ago, and puts us just before the C again, on which we will bring the thumb again and go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's the fingering. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is the fingering for this scale. And the opposite when you go down. 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1. That is what you're going to take away with you from this lesson for this part. You need to do this with your right hand and with your left hand. Hello, left hand. Did you forget you have a left hand? You have a left hand. What I'm going to tell you now is a philosophical approach. You don't have a left and a right hand. You shouldn't think about playing the piano in this way. How you need to think is you've got 10 soldiers, 10 vehicles. They are simply relaying what you feel inside. They are relaying what your internal piano has been practicing away, what you have been repeating as a positive ideal on your internal piano. What you have been visualizing is expressed by your 10 little vehicles. If you think about left hand, right hand, you'll limit your playing ability. It doesn't matter what any book says, you will limit your playing ability. Don't do it. You must be able to just share your fingers between scales and not even think about it. You can just scale between your hands. Play scales with 2 hands without oh, my hands are freezing. You just play the notes of the scale. You see what I'm saying? It doesn't matter if you have 2 hands. You're just playing what you need to play with your 10 fingers. Now there are more beneficial, economical ways to do it, and there are also more comfortable ways to do things. But what I have to say is that every hand is different. So I will never give you a fixed, regimented, strict fingering pattern. in the future you'll see what I mean. But for this one, just for now, because I want you to start to use your fingers, I'm giving you this one-off strict fingering to use, which is 1 2 3 1 2 3 4. And if you can, repeat it again, 1 2 3, going up the same 8 notes, 1 2 3 1 2 3 4, starting again. If you can, try and get used to that shape. Okay, and in the left hand, what would you like to do? Start on the little finger. I'll do it here in the middle where you can see on the camera. So how would it feel on the left hand? Try and discover it for yourself. For me, 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2, and then you can start with your thumb again, staying in that octave, 8 notes, octave, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, oct, 8, octopus, octagon, 8, octave, 1 2 3 4 5, 1 2 3, 3 2 1, 5 4 3 2 1. Okay, that's what I'm doing. You need to do this. Now, of course, in the beginning you'll have to do it with the 2 hands, but that's what a normal piano teacher would say. What you're going to do is do it together first, because I want you to start to realise. Oh, so I'm talking at the same time. I want you to realise that your 2 hands are not 2 hands. You're playing the same thing, but you're just doing it with a different combination of your 10 fingers. So 1 2 3. Now your fingers are doing different things. Of course they are, but I want you to get used to this. I want to break your brain slowly, because in the beginning you'll be really confused and you'll start to play like wrong notes and your fingers will be all over the place. Relax. Just close your eyes. Don't look at the piano. And trust me, start this now. Don't look at the piano when you're playing. You're going to close your eyes. Your fingers are going to go into the right places. Don't worry, that will happen automatically. See these 12 notes, this block, which is repeated on the piano 8 times or so, and just naturally let your fingers play what they should play. 1. You don't have to go fast. I didn't say go fast. Just play really slowly like this, and it will naturally get faster. The more you think about it, see, I'm thinking about it sometimes because I'm talking and I'm trying not to make a mistake. It's very difficult to talk and do that at the same time. But when you're just relaxed and not being distracted by anything like cameras and microphones, and the occasional stray cat walking past, you just do it without thinking. And when you get to that stage, which will be very, very quick, you will realise that you're not actually thinking about it, and your fingers are actually just doing what they should be doing subconsciously. Eventually, you may even play it with different fingers. You'll completely forget what I've just said, and you'll be using other fingers. My right hand is so free that normally it does what it wants. I don't normally think about my right hand at all. I finished on my index finger this time. I don't really know what happened, because I don't consciously think about what my fingers are doing when I'm playing. What can I think of as an example? I wouldn't really say as a song, but more of a technique. I like to play chromatic scales, or chromatic scales. This is a chromatic scale. It's when you play every note together. I like to play arpeggios, which is when you play a chord open with 2 hands, of course. I'm not thinking about what fingers I'm playing at all. I mean, I'd have to slow down completely and actually tell you what fingers I'm using, because I don't think about it, and that's good. Don't think about what fingers you're playing. But in the beginning, just to give you a structure and a step to stand on, so to speak, do use 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 5. And just keep doing this. Now, as I said earlier, alternate your practice, modify it. What you need to do is mix it. So just do like this. Just the first 3 notes. Now do the next 5. Like this. You may just do it with the right hand. And go down with the left hand, and then go down with the right hand, and then go up with the left hand. Up and down. Just modify it and try to do it with your eyes closed. It's really the best thing to do. So these are your notes: C, D, E, F, G, A, B. What you want to try to do, my desk is just off the keyboard here. My desk begins just here, so I can't actually go up too high. But what you want to do is get to this point where you play it like this, which is not fast. It's not amazing. All I'm doing is playing 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 1 2 3 1 2 3 4 4 3 2 1 3 2 1 4 3 2 1 3 2 1 4 3 2 1 3 2 1. With both hands, you want to do all the way up the piano and all the way up down again in your own time. It's a nice feeling. This will just get you familiar with the piano and make your fingers start to move independently. It's very, very exciting. Spend how much time you want until you feel comfortable doing this. You set the time. Okay? Now, there's something called intervals. I'm just going to tell you this as a theory point. An interval is a space between two notes. We're starting on the C here. Now, there are two kinds of intervals. There is a half step and a whole step. Half step is literally, physically, the next note. Like this. Physically, the next note. Like this. These are half steps. I'm climbing in half steps. It doesn't matter if it's a black note or a white note. There are no black notes and white notes, as I said at the end of the last video, and that will be revealed soon why that is. So your half step is each note physically next to each other. So I'm walking up in half steps here. This is your second exercise for intervals, using whatever fingers feel comfortable, but if I may recommend, thumb index, because it will encourage you to move your hand, your arm forward and backwards. So here it's back, and then it must go forward for the thumb to hit the black note, then it comes down, then it goes up, down, down again, because it's always here, down, it's down here. It doesn't go up, and then it goes up, down, up, down, up, like this. Don't rush, just do this. Now in the left hand, use your little finger and your ring finger. Just like this. Just for the feeling. I never go that high normally. It's because I have to go up high on the keyboard because the camera is not getting all the keys down here where I would normally play this much lower. So try to do those together. And try to do it with your eyes closed. If you want, go down, which means you need to really focus on where you're putting your fingers. But what I'm trying to do, as again I have already said, I'm trying to break your mind. I'm trying to break your mind from being fixed in regular patterns. I want your fingers to become independent so that they are doing different things. Like this. Okay? You're not thinking about your individual fingers really. You're not thinking about two hands. You're just simply making that sound on the piano. Okay? So your intervals, you have a half step. The second one is a whole step, which is very logically two half steps. So you can guess what that means, I suppose. Here is a half, and then here is a half. So a whole step is when you go to the next note, but there's a note in between. It can be again a black or a white note. So you need to use your eyes for this. So from here, a whole step is to here, and then a half step is here, and the next half step is to here. So from here to here is a whole step. Now from here, this is a half step, and this is another half step, so that's a whole step. From here, half step, whole step. From here, half step. Oops, sorry, my finger fell off. From this black note, this is a half step. That's another half step. So there's the whole step. Okay. From this note, from the white note, the half step is here. From here to here is another half step. So that's your whole step. From this note next, for example, this is the half step. That's another half step. So that's the whole step. Okay. Now, if you want, you can do that as a practice. That actually has a name. It's called the whole tone scale, because you're going up in whole tones or whole steps. So why not use that as a way to develop your fingers? Like that. You may have heard this scale being used in films. It's quite an interesting scale. So, whole tone scale. There's your first scale, whole tone scale. Simply a scale based on whole tones. Now, of course, that can start in a different place. We could start it on the black note here, and that would be whole, 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 whole. It sounds the same as the other one. So the whole tone scale has a very special sound. Very interesting. There's your whole tone scale. So you have a whole step and a half step, and you have a little practice for those for you to do. And of course, if you wish to, use different fingers. Maybe use the two, number 3 and number 4 for the half step. Like this. Don't think it's difficult. Simply do it, and it will happen. There's no need to play fast, because this is not really something that that you would have to do in a piece of music. Maybe the technique, but not using those fingers. The whole purpose of using odd fingers is to simply develop the finger strength and to create a stronger connection from your mind to those fingers. It's very, very exciting. What I'm going to do now is give you, as the third part of this video focus, triads. Triads are major chords. This is the most popular sound on the piano, in pop music especially. It's the simple sound that everyone knows. Okay, it's that simple common sound. It's the chord that's used in most pop songs when people play like this. So everyone knows the sound of a major chord. How do we make a major chord? Well, I'll give you the notes for C major. And I'll now tell you the interval, because we have already looked at the interval. You see the structure. The information will come in useful at a later date. So, to make a triad, we simply have to go up how many? 1 whole step, 2 whole steps. That gives us what is called a major triad. Don't ask why. It's just called a major triad when you go up 2 whole steps. So you take your first note, which is not a whole step because it hasn't come from anywhere. This is just 0, let's say. The first note is 0. You're going up a whole step and then another whole step, and you're playing that note. Don't count the notes between, because it's not really the best way to do it. And it sounds like this. It sounds like a major triad. It sounds like it. Get associated with that sound. With that major triad sound. Now we're going to put the G on top. So the notes here are C, E and G. How do we get the next triad, the next note on top? Well, we go from the first note that we discovered. We've started on C, we're going up a whole step and a whole step, and then we're going up a whole step, but this time only a half step. So don't just go, oh, whole step, whole step, whole step, whole step. That's not the right sound. That's something else. You want this sound. So it's 2 whole steps, and then a whole step and a half step. That gives you your major triad. Now recognise this shape, C, E, G. Recognise it. Just imprint the image on your mind. Hold the notes down with your fingers, any fingers, and picture it. So what are you doing? You're playing the 2 white notes each side of the 2 black notes, which means you can find it now easily anywhere on the piano, all the way at the top. That's easy to find. And you're playing the first white note after the first of the 3 black notes. That's just the visual way to find it. But of course, try to give it a name, C major, because we're starting on C, and you are playing the E and the G. Now all I would like you to do is to play that C triad until the next video. This is your 3rd practice, okay? C, E, G. And how are we going to do that? Of course we're going to use 2 hands. Find a way that feels comfortable to play those notes, and that honestly depends on your hand, and I can't recommend anything. I use my first finger, my thumb, my index finger and my ring finger. Some people use their middle finger. Some people even use their little finger, not their thumb, but they use their index and their middle. Some people play like this. Other people play like this. You may want to play like this, but I don't recommend that you do that, simply because you have no more fingers to play any notes up here. So when you're playing music, when we actually start to play music, you won't have any notes. You won't have any fingers to play any notes up here. So I recommend at least starting on your thumb, and then you'll have to work out some combination of fingering on the right hand. My fingering is 1, 2 and 4. That's my recommended fingering. What are you going to do? You are going to play that up and down the piano with the right hand, using the same fingers that you used going up to come down again. You see, now my fingers change. If I want to go up fast, I use my middle finger. See? Isn't that strange? But when I play the chord itself, when I'm just playing the chord, I play with my ring finger. I can't go up, really. Well, I can, actually. But it's not comfortable, it's not natural. I would not do that naturally. I know I wouldn't. I would use my middle finger. So think about that. Find a comfortable position. Now with my left hand, I'll do it in the middle here for you. I use my little finger, not my ring finger, my middle finger and my index finger. Now do I do the same when I go up? Yes. Yes, I do. See, my left hand doesn't do the same thing as my right hand because I'm not thinking about it. My hands naturally do what they need to do to portray what has happened on my internal piano. So, try to do this. And just simply do that. You don't need to go fast, but see how fast you can go out of curiosity perhaps, but don't get excited about speed. Okay? Start to do little things like this. Just so you can get your fingers moving and recognise that chord, C major. And it is a C major triad. It's got 3 notes in it. Okay? Now, the popular keys, I'm going to give this to you if you want to learn it, but you don't have to. There are 5 popular places to play music. What do I mean by places? Well, this note is C, C major. This is a very common, what is called key. Now a key is basically there are 12 notes in the octave within an octave space, which is the 8 notes. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is the block I told you about in the beginning. Now each one of these can be number 1. So this is the key of C. Now if I do the same sequence of intervals, which is a whole tone, whole tone, half tone, whole tone, whole tone, whole tone, half tone, this gives me a C major scale. Now that is a template that you can use and start on any of the 12 notes on the piano, and it will give you the same sound. It will give you the sound of a major scale, just like the whole tone sounds like a whole tone no matter where you begin on the piano. It gives you the same sound because it's a template. So this, when you start on a note which is considered as 0, and then you go whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, which is easy to remember, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, from 0, you need to select a key first. Let's do it from this note. What note is this? C, D, E, F. Let's do it from here. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. I'll do it again and I'll hold them down again. So we start on the 0 and it's an F. Whole, whole, half, and then from this black note here, whole is here, not here, that's only a half. We need to go whole, 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 half. When you find that line, that sounds like a major scale again. And from that, as I did in the key of C, what we're doing is taking 1, 3, 5 from that scale. That is why the scale is called a C major scale, and that's why the chord is called a C major chord. It all comes from that major third 1, 2, 3 interval. So from C, from C is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So the chord comes from the scale. Everything comes from the scale in music, on the piano, or on any instrument, but in our case on the piano of course. So this is it. And in the key of F, because it's called a key, F, whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half, it sounds the same as C. Now there are different fingers to use that, but I'll do major scales in the next lesson, so don't worry. Next lesson is major scales. But for the time being, for a finger exercise, and to get you familiar with the keyboard, you're going to take F, A and C. F, A, C. These are numbers 1, 3 and 5 in the key of F. These, C, E, G, are the 1, 3, 5 in the key of C. And let me explain it again. It is because you have played the template from 0, from your chosen key. You have played whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. And when you play those notes, you get a major scale. From that, we are playing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're playing 1 and 3 and 5 in the key of F. Whole, whole, half, whole, 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 half. The result is F major, and we're playing number 1, number 3 and number 5. Okay? Get familiar with those two. And play with the fingers which feel comfortable. Copy me if you want, but maybe they don't work for you. And in C. So what you're doing now is playing C major triad and F major triad, and you now know the major scale and that fingering practice for C major scale. And in F, I'll just tell you quickly what I do. I play 1, 2, 3, 4. My ring finger plays the black note, and then my thumb swings under, and I go 1, 2, 3. So I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, which is the opposite of the C one, which is 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. So in F I'm going 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Coming down, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. Coming down, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. So I'm going, of course the first time it's a little bit different because I have to finish on that note with my ring finger. But from here, I can now, because my thumb is on it this time and not my ring finger, it's now the correct fingering from here, which is 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's the opposite of when I go up. 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1, 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's the opposite. And that's how people can play scales very fast, because they're using the correct, for them, fingering. Okay? And that's what you have to do away from this video, and do it in your mind. Do this in your mind. You can do it. You don't need to do it fast. All you need to do is go away from the piano, leave the piano. Imagine this group of 12 notes, this block, which is repeated everywhere. I'm going to do this forever. This block, 2 black notes, 3 black notes. You're playing 1, 3, 5 here. You're playing 1, 3, 5 from here. You're doing it with 2 hands. Okay? You know the whole and the half steps. So do these, but in your mind. Use any fingers you want, just to get yourself familiar with it and to get your fingers moving in strange ways that they've never moved in before. When you're away from the piano, imagine your hands doing that. See your thumb and your index finger playing half steps on the piano when you're just driving your car. But don't neglect your left hand. When you come to the piano, you will be better than the previous time without having played the piano, because you are reinforcing your positive ideal. You are repeating it, and the brain, the subconscious, does not know the difference between reality and fantasy. And there are many tests, and there's a lot of proof to be had and to be shown in this, to be demonstrated. That the subconscious does not know the difference between reality and fantasy. So it's no joke when I say, and I'm not being soppy and fantasy and new age hippie, I'm being realistic, and it works for me all the time. And there are also many stories online of pianists who will learn a score, very well. Maybe they'll fine tune it when they get to a piano, but they will study a score on their plane or on a train without any access to a piano, and they will internalise it, and they will imagine themselves playing it, but the subconscious doesn't know that they're not physically playing it. So the same signals are still happening in the brain. So when they actually get to a piano, they simply play what they were playing in their mind. But they just develop what you would call finger memory or muscle memory when they actually come to the piano itself. But the notes and the ability has been created through the repetition of the positive ideal away from the piano. I'm going to leave you with that. That's 40 minutes or so. Look forward to your questions. Keep going, keep trying. You know your intervals, you know the names of the notes, you can see the block, you've got your C triad and your F triad. Spend a few days using different finger combinations, playing over these new shapes, playing away from the piano. We are moving up. Very exciting. See you in video 3, and thank you very much for watching. All the best.